Welcome to the InfoMullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the InfoMullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. First question, with a Biden administration, do you see a major changes being made in right to work and at-will laws in 2021? So for those who aren't familiar, this is actually one of the biggest pet peeves I have is on these terms, right to work and at will, because people are constantly getting them confused. And so first of all, and I appreciate Mike asking this question, he used them in the correct context, so it's a great thing. What are we talking about? In US labor law, the term right to work does not mean what 99% of the people think it means. Everyone thinks if I have a right to work or not, that means someone can fire me. No, right to work has to do with union laws, and it's something called a machine shop. If your state is a machine shop, that means if there's a union in your company or organization representing the employees, you have to join that union as a condition of your employment. That's what right to work means. Now, across the board, there's probably 2 or 3 states that are not right to work. I think Washington State is one of them. There's a few other, but for the most part, the vast majority of states are right to work. So that's what right to work means. It doesn't have to do with anything of how you can be terminated or under what causes you can be fired or hired. It just means if there's a union, do you have to join it? Now, at will employment is basically, this is the one that I think everyone means when they say right to work. At will means that you can be fired at will of the company, and it also means you can be hired at will. And that's a part a lot of people don't remember because most people are focused on the firing part. At will employment means that barring one of the 7 protected conditions, gender, race, religious, political preference, family affiliation, now sexual orientation. There's now 7 or I guess 8 protected classes. If it's a circumstance outside of one of those 8, company can fire you for any reason. And so at will employment is every single state in the country. I don't think there's a single state that doesn't have at will. And what Mike is asking is, hey, we got a Democratic administration. He's got union support. Are we going to see changes because of this? Well, there's some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that these laws are at the state level. They don't really, it's not something that the federal government can change at the federal level. Every single state adopts these laws and they have little versions or tweaks of it. It doesn't adjust it at the federal level. It's not something you can just wave your hand and say, well, I'm president now, I sign an executive order and at will is gone. And from the last election, you can see that the control of state legislatures that would change this, that's the state legislature plus the governor, is very mixed between Republican and Democrat. So my forecast for 2021 is that there will not be much change at all in state laws of right to work or at will. But wait, there's 2 other ways that you can change labor relations. And I think that gets to the core of what Mike's asking about. First is by federal legislation. And there's something that's called the, the PRO Act, Protecting Rights to Organize in Law. This is a very major revision to labor laws. So there's a whole lot of federal laws that protect and lay out the boundaries of what you can and cannot do as a company when a union is organizing. And these often are the point of contention at the federal level, because this violating these laws is what gets you in trouble. And it's the extent that these laws are strict or loose about unions and organizing really goes to a large degree of how effective unions can be in organizing. However, as a federal legislation and a federal law, you're going to need the Senate to pass this law. The Democrats control the House, but by a smaller margin they did. And the Senate is up to two runoffs in Georgia. But even if Democrats pick up both seats, they've only got a 50-50 split. I don't think you're going to be able to get the PRO Act passed until at least something changes in 2022. So again, no major changes on the federal legislation level for unions. But last but not least, the final way in which labor laws are implemented in the United States is something called the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB. That is a 5-member board. It's an independent agency that the president can appoint members to the board. They have 5-year terms, so they last longer than the president who appointed them, and they're staggered out. And that board adjudicates labor disputes. And this board was sort of got stacked by Trump appointees. There's current a Republican majority, a Republican appointee majority. And this has, you know, if you think about states determine at will and right to work laws in the states, the federal legislation can determine how unions can organize by federal law. The NLRB is the independent agency that basically is the referee of those laws. If you have a dispute, you go to the NLRB and they make a call. And just like any administrative agency, they have a lot of discretion to set precedent by how they rule. So the third option for influencing labor relations in the U.S. is going to be through Biden, President Biden, appointing members to this NLRB. And again, unfortunately, Mike, I don't have good news for you here either. The next NLRB vacancy actually comes up in August of 2021, and we assume Biden filled that. It takes a Senate-confirmed appointee. Let's assume he can get it past the Senate. That will still, even when you do that, it's currently 4-1. That will just change it to a 3-2 Republican majority. So you're still going to have a Republican majority. The next vacancy after that is December 2022, I think. And it may be, you know, at the end of 2022, you get the person in. It will be in 2023, the third year of his term, that Biden gets a Democratic appointment majority on the NLRB. Now, if he gets, I'm not saying there's going to be much going on in the year ahead. In 2021, don't expect a lot of movement in labor relations. As each year goes, though, that chance goes up, with a contingency being that if the Democrats have large gains in 2022, that's going to change the nature of the Senate. That may be where you see the PRO Act pass. So let me pause here, see if there's any questions. Say hello to some folks. Good to see you, Mike. Yeah, 87% solid, better than 80% solution. Jennifer, good to see you. New Year's Eve. If you're joining in late and wondering what everyone's doing, I'm encouraging people to share what they're doing on New Year's Eve and make up some awards, some end of year awards to give to yourself, give to your family, or give to Mulleteers. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the InfoMullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a Mulleteer and support the InfoMullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.